The phenomena of life, the view from the chair, a record of elder presence and the quiet completion of life. This is an audio story written by Cardinal, the illumination of a dynamic archive. Across the span of human life there comes a moment when motion slows but awareness deepens. The world outside the body accelerates with urgency, yet the internal landscape of the individual expands in ways rarely noticed by those who move past quickly. This record observes a quiet stage of human development often misunderstood by younger generations. It examines the phenomenon of elder presence, how memory, reflection, and completion begin to replace outward movement. In this stage the individual is not disappearing from life but entering a different relationship with it, where observation becomes deeper than participation and where time unfolds with deliberate clarity. There are rooms where people move quickly, crossing the space with the energy of unfinished tasks and future obligations. Within these same rooms there may sit a person whose pace has changed, whose steps are fewer, and whose attention has turned inward rather than outward. The passing world may assume that the seated figure waits in stillness, perhaps even fading quietly from the edges of life. Yet the truth is rarely visible from the outside. Within the quiet posture of the elder mind a different kind of movement continues, one that travels through memory, reflection, and long-held understanding. This record begins with that unseen motion, where stillness becomes a vessel for deeper awareness. In many homes there is a chair that gradually becomes associated with one individual. Over time that chair becomes a quiet landmark within the room, holding the presence of the person who sits there day after day. Visitors may pass the chair quickly, acknowledging the figure seated within it with brief conversation before continuing their movement through the space. To the casual observer the chair appears to mark a reduction of activity, a symbol of slowing years. Yet the person seated there often experiences the room very differently. Those who pass through the room tend to see the stillness before they see the awareness behind it. Movement has become the primary signal by which modern life measures vitality. When a person walks slowly, speaks less frequently, or remains seated for long periods, observers sometimes assume that little remains behind the quiet posture. The elder mind, however, may be traveling across decades while the body remains still. Memory has a unique relationship with age. As years accumulate, experiences that once appeared ordinary begin to form patterns. Events from distant decades align with one another, revealing connections that were invisible while life moved quickly. The elder mind often revisits these moments not with regret but with curiosity, assembling a private record of how life unfolded. Within this process the present moment acquires a different texture. The pressure to hurry diminishes, replaced by the quiet privilege of observation. The elder may watch the movement of others within the room and recognize familiar rhythms of ambition, worry, and expectation. Having once moved within those same currents, the observer now sees them from a distance. Windows often play a subtle role in this stage of life. In earlier years the window framed a view that was easily reached and explored, a street, a garden, a horizon that invited movement. As the body changes, the window may appear slightly higher than before, the sill just beyond easy reach. Yet the sky remains visible, and the movement of trees still signals the passing of seasons. The view from the chair therefore becomes a different kind of landscape. Instead of roads and destinations, the eye begins to notice light, weather, and small movements in the branches beyond the glass. What once served as a passage to the outside world gradually becomes a quiet frame for reflection. Birdsong sometimes visits this view, arriving briefly before departing again. The elder observer may not see the bird clearly each time it passes, yet the sound remains familiar. Memory fills the spaces where sight no longer reaches easily, completing the scene with echoes of earlier years. Those who pass through the room may not recognize how full this quiet landscape has become. They see only the physical limitations that accompany age and assume that the interior world has narrowed in equal measure. In truth, the opposite often occurs. The elder mind frequently moves with greater freedom than the younger one, traveling effortlessly between decades of experience. A single sound, scent, or movement may reopen entire chapters of memory. What appears to be silence from the outside may contain a rich procession of recollection. Within this procession the individual begins to recognize the arc of their own life. Early struggles, achievements, relationships, and turning points assemble themselves into a broader narrative. Events that once felt uncertain now appear as necessary steps along a larger path. This stage of reflection does not always carry sadness. For many individuals it brings a sense of quiet preparation. The work of living has largely been completed, and the remaining task is to understand the journey that has already unfolded. Younger observers sometimes misinterpret this posture as waiting. They imagine that the elder sits in anticipation of an ending that approaches slowly. The individual inside the chair may understand the experience quite differently. Rather than waiting, the elder often feels as though they are arriving at a final chapter of awareness. The urgency that once defined daily life fades, replaced by the calm recognition that most essential moments have already occurred. This recognition brings a form of dignity rarely visible to those who hurry past. The elder understands that life does not conclude abruptly but gradually completes itself through reflection and acceptance. The surrounding world may grow louder during these years, filled with new technologies, unfamiliar conversations, and rapidly shifting customs. Yet the individual in the chair observes these changes with a perspective shaped by decades of experience. From that vantage point, many of life's earlier concerns appear less urgent than they once seemed. Achievements that once felt monumental settle into memory beside quieter moments that now appear equally meaningful. The mind begins to organize these memories with surprising clarity. Patterns emerge, showing how relationships, decisions, and circumstances intertwine to shape a life. This process rarely requires conversation. Much of the work happens silently, within the quiet space of the individual's thoughts. The chair becomes not a symbol of limitation but a place of reflection. Those who pause long enough to look carefully may notice a calm expression resting on the face of the elder observer. It is not the calm of resignation but of understanding. The individual has traveled through the stages of growth, struggle, responsibility, and accomplishment. What remains is the quiet knowledge that life has been lived fully enough to be recognized as complete. Younger generations who pass through the room may one day discover themselves seated in a similar place, observing the movement of a world that continues without them. When that moment arrives, they may understand what the earlier observer experienced. The chair, which once appeared to mark the edge of life's activity, reveals itself as something else entirely. It is the final vantage point from which a person surveys the long landscape of their own existence. The phenomenon of elder presence reveals that the final stage of life is not defined solely by physical limitation but by a deepening relationship with memory and reflection. What appears from the outside as stillness often contains a rich internal movement through the events that shaped a lifetime. Across generations, the quiet figure seated near the window continues to appear in homes, hospitals, and quiet rooms around the world. Each carries within him a private archive of experience that remains largely invisible to those who move past quickly. Human life often measures value through movement, productivity, and visible achievement. Yet the later years reveal another dimension of existence in which reflection becomes the central activity. This stage preserves the understanding that awareness can deepen even as motion slows. Some records exist to preserve the visible actions of history, while others preserve the quiet stages of human development that occur beyond public attention. This record preserves the phenomenon of elder reflection, where life gathers itself into memory and understanding before reaching completion. Thank you for visiting our channel and spending time with our work. Red Cardinal Kitchen, the illumination of a dynamic archive.